Hello friend, welcome back to Toyota Maintenance YouTube channel. You are looking with me at 99 Tacoma. It's a 4-wheel drive and the owner decided to replace a front CV axle on the passenger side. Why? Well, let me show you. The boot is ripped. This we call the inner boot on the CV axle is ripped. Try to prepare all these lights here so you can have a good look at it. So the grease which was inside protecting that CV joint, it's all over, right? You can see it, the sand and the dust mixture of that grease, and it's time to replace it. If you want to see how I do that, stay with me in this video. I start with removing this black dust cap, right? So you need to get between that and the hub. There's not a space really, so it's always a little bit of problem. At the end, this sharp chisel works the best because it is able to get between that rim and that cap. That's the way to get it up. Let's see. Maybe a little bit more here, and that will be it. It will be gone. Let's see. Yeah, this one is really tight. Probably never been removed before. Yep, you see it live right here. Here is the cap. Now using a pliers, I will remove this cotter pin. So I need to straighten it. And cotter pin should be out. You can see it right here. And I can remove this locking crown nut. The next I need 35mm 6-point socket, my impact wrench to remove this nut. Here you go. If you don't have an impact, I have on this YouTube channel older video where I'm showing you how you can get rid of this with a breaker bar. So that will be, it's probably 2 years old, it was also Tacoma. Now I can go ahead and confirm that that CV axle is not stuck inside, right? So gently. And I can see it already moving, right? It moved in. Ah, now you heard it, right? So this is all loose. This is perfect. Now you are looking from the front. I changed the lights and you can see that CV axle, it's slightly already popped off that hub, right? But there's not enough place right now to remove it. So we will have to create that space. And I will be removing this all 4 bolts. These are 14mm. Let's see if the smaller Milwaukee can deal with those. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm using this because the impact socket didn't want to fit there. Removing these 4 bolts creates that little miracle around here, right? Which will let me to remove actually that axle without taking apart all the other tie rod ends and all kinds of other stuff, right? I adjusted those lights so you can see all these details. So you see that whole assembly nicely on the side. When you're separating the CV axle from that, there is a seal there, you don't want to rip it. So you're just being careful and paying attention. So I feel you can see it pretty good. So let's see how the medium size, like a 2 feet pry bar, if it will take it off for me, right? So I'm kind of supporting it here on the left hand. Oh, you can see it perfectly, yeah. And now I'm just trying to pop it carefully out of that area. I zoom that camcorder more for you. So when I'm using the small one, I have to make sure, right, there is that following ring. So I have to be only very shallow prying on it. If you want to really use the large bar, it should be actually prying, right, this way. But I'm not reusing this shaft, so you can finally see how it's slowly coming out and separating. That's a good detail. I'm glad I have this lift and I can show you all that. Now you see there is a gear oil coming. Already a little bit of it will be coming out of the front differential, right? So I already have, I didn't mention it, but I have that catching pan down here for that oil. There will be a little bit of it spilled. So come on, baby, come out. What is holding you there? Here you go. That's better. Now I feel like you cooperating with me. So here you can see the whole situation. I moved the light again. And now the CV axle, it's stuck here because this sway bar ending, that nut goes too far high there, and I cannot move the CV axle, right? The both ends diameters are too large, it will not go out. Now I position this camera for you to show you options. The top is not 14 millimeter, and the camcorder is here to show you how bad that end link is, right? So if I'm undoing, watch the bottom. Maybe let's move it a little bit more here. When I'm undoing the top nut, 14 millimeter, I don't need any contra. I'm just working on that. I first clean that thread by the wire brush, but that's the top. You can see how the end link already here, it's loose, the ball joint and so on. If you want to remove this one, this nut is number 17 millimeter. But if you will just put it on it, it will start turning around because that ball joint is loose. So you cannot use really any impact wrench on it, right? So 6 hex will hold that from spinning, and this 17 will be removing this nut. And if neither of them is heavily rusted, you don't have that case of stripping things and so on. Look, if I remove both ends, I think this end link is shot, and I should actually send a picture to the customer and offer him replacement while I'm doing this job. Since I'm already inside, right, working on it, it will be for him no cost for the labor. Right. All he has to pay is the part. Sorry, I'm getting in your way with my arm, but that's the way it is. What can I do? I need to also be able to work on this, and there's no other angle to select. So hopefully you can see it. Right. This one is completely loose and ripped, so I will go check the parts and see how much this replacement, it's a sway bar end link, will cost him. Well, if you just tiny bit lift up that sway bar, it's just a little bit, I know I'm getting in your way, but sorry, that's the way it is. Right? So if I tiny bit lift that sway bar, I am able to move that CV shaft out. There, I want to show you the whole area. I will be cleaning this first, because I don't want to put a new CV axle in this area and leave all this mess around here. I hate when I see it on the trucks, right, or the vehicles. Somebody else did this job and they didn't even bother to clean it a little bit around. No, that was a little rant, but it's reality. So here you are looking on the area towards to the wheel. That was that outer nut there. It was outer CV boot, and as we said, the inner CV boot completely ripped. The grease gone. That's the grease, right? And bad. Now we are replacing these because it's the labor problem. It's faster to grab a new one and replace it than rebuild this. Now also, if it's in such a late stage and it was open for so long, just replacing the boot, I don't think it's a good idea. You don't know how that CV joint is damaged inside, right? How those bolts are worn with the presence of the sand, and the comments from the people who decided to do it themselves. This is what drives them crazy when they are putting it back. Do you see this little ring that needs to snap inside of that front differential? And sometimes people have a really hard time to put it back. I saw so many comments, people writing under the other video I mentioned. Oh my God, I can't put it in. I can't put it in. It doesn't want to go in. So this is why. And you have to be patient with it, and you have to try again, and then it finally, I guarantee you, it will finally go in. So here we got a new and old. It's always good idea for anybody who's doing it to compare that they are identical. Here you observe the diameter right here where the seal, right, the more important seal runs, and that's the one which holds the oil inside of the transfer case. So this is important, and we will be checking that seal later. Here we are going towards to the wheel, so you want to see same length, and again this is where the other seal is, but that's only it's a dust seal for the bearing, so it's not so important. You want to do this because you don't want to have a leak here from the diff, right? So this is more important side in my opinion. Now, how much these things cost and what are your options? I wanted to give options to my customer, so I knew I will get this for, now I will say it, roughly $100 from O'Reilly. With some of you already screaming, wow, I will never buy that, that's a junk. So that was my option today. It was available and they deliver it to me. Well, why that happened? Because when I called the Toyota dealer, how much will be the original, they said two options. A remanufactured approximately $200 plus 170 core. You have to give them this one, but it was not available at the dealer. I said, what's about the Toyota one, right? Original Toyota. He said to me, hey, it's like 470, almost $500, but let me check something. He said, oh, it's actually not available for sale. So these were the options. Customer came today, either part from O'Reilly or nothing. And this is the seal I'm talking about. It's right there where it's entering the diff. So I will go ahead and make sure I didn't rip it. Right when I was removing the old one, that its surface, it's intact. There are no cuts in it and so on, because I don't want to install the whole thing and then have a leak. So I have a new axle ready here. I have a pry bar ready here to lift that annoying part, so that perfectly worked out. And I'm ready, carefully watching here in the back that entry into the front diff. So I have to really feel it. If it doesn't want to go, I turn it a little bit and try again. And the whole important trick is to have this part perfectly aligned straight in that hole. You cannot use any hammer or anything like that, but what I did, I helped to myself and I just carefully, in perfect alignment, I tapped on the back of this. And look at that, it's perfectly in. I will go ahead and remove this nut. One more last time to recheck the area where the seals are, which is right here, right? So there's no sand from anywhere here. I also recheck that seal, and I'm ready to swing this part around and insert it on the CV shaft. If you are in the areas with a lot of rust, you can put a bunch of anti-seize on that, but that's not our problem here. These seals right here inside are kind of oily, right? They are slightly wet. So now carefully coming in. Don't put any wrong pressure on it, and it's carefully sliding that whole CV axle. It's nicely coming in. Here we go. In this moment I can just loosely put that nut here, and I will continue with aligning of this area of this ball joint. So I'm back with that bolt right here. Make sure you put a blue Loctite on it, blue thread locker. I saw these bolts actually getting loose after a couple thousand miles. And when you catch that first bolt, right, you observe those pins. This is actually perfect, and I will continue with the other three. And all four of them should have that thread locker on it. Regarding to the factory Toyota repair manual, this is supposed to be 80 Newton meters torqued, so pretty tight. Alright, let's go crisscross. And now don't worry, I didn't forget about this sway bar handling while we were working. It was delivered. Here I will show you why you need that hex on those sway bar handlings. You can do this forever, and it's just spinning in that ball joint. So as we discussed, you have to hold it, and that's the only way to tighten or loosen this nut. So now I need to torque this axle nut. I removed that with the impact wrench, but there's no way I will use impact to tighten it. We know the spec, it's a 235 Newton meters. So I have a torque wrench, but how you stop this whole thing from turning? So what I do, I take a screwdriver, put it in this ventilated brake rotor, and now I'm able, yeah, you see it nicely. Now I'm able to correctly torque the whole thing. I see people using impact wrenches on it. Please never do that. Did you hear that? I will recheck. Oh yeah, that's it. Now, and that means I observe the axle, this opening here, so I can put that lock cap on it. Oh yeah, that fits perfectly. And ideally you are using brand new cotter pin. Alright, here come my pliers to bend it the same way as it was, right, when we found it in beginning. Bend it, and now I can install finally that steel grease cap, right? I'm not using hammer, you will damage it most likely, but look at that, it's perfectly in the place. After that I will one more time look back that everything is perfectly installed in correct order. We'll just put a wheel back and torque the lug nut 120 Newton meters and go for a test drive. Now this service will normally take me approximately, rough guesstimate, 1.5 hours, but filming it, I just look on the clock, it took me 4 hours because the camera angles, and I cannot touch it with greasy fingers, and it's just nightmare. It took me a lot of time to do that for you. If you enjoyed If you think it's helpful, please give it that thumb up, because it's really a lot of extra work I have to do for that. But I hope you will find it helpful. I hope it will make you to do your own maintenance. Just always make sure you are safe. Make sure you are subscribed. Thank you for watching and have a great day, my friend.